All right, welcome back to DEStalks. I am Chase, your COO. I am here today with Rob, our CEO. Rob, how you doing, man?
Woot woot. I'm great, dude.
Woot, woot.
Woot 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 woot.
Man, I haven't heard that since the 90s and early 2000s. Woot, woot.
I'm here to make you happy.
Yeah, you're definitely doing that, my friend. You're definitely doing that. Well, hey, it is Friday. It is a
Gotta get
good
down
day
on
to be a
Friday.
Friday. We don't really have any veteran news to kind of go over today. So we're going to skip that. I think we're all caught up for right now, and we're going to jump right into our topic. Rob, you want to kick us off, man?
Yeah, I wanted to do something a little bit different today than we've kind of been hitting really hard on the educational side of the house, and and I say educational, like trying to educate people as to what's out there for them. But I wanted to talk about something different, and I know this is uh, a Rob topic, and I just wanted to just kind of talk about us, let the people know a little more about who we are as Chase and Rob, and then I think we're going to roll this same energy straight into an after action. So if you don't get enough of us here in 15 minutes, I encourage you jump over to YouTube. I know I said, gosh, 2 weeks ago we were going to go
2 weeks ago, yeah.
exclusively on iTunes, but that didn't work out because iTunes doesn't support video, and so we decided to do YouTube. So go check us out on YouTube. We'll drop the link in the description below, and I think we're going to have that one free. I don't think we're going to charge anybody anything for that one. So come check us out. You can see Chase and I's face for better or worse.
I
Yeah,
apologize in advance for
I don't
absolutely
apologize
nothing.
for anything. I think you're welcome, whether you like it or not. But
I didn't get any choice in this.
but wanted to talk about us, and so just really quickly, Chase, I know I didn't tee you up for this on purpose, but in this thought process for this podcast, I brought up it'd be really cool to let people know why DES. So
Yeah.
from your perspective, why did we start DES? What was the mission behind that? And it doesn't have to be something profound. You could just tell people the truth. I wanted to make more money, you know,
Well,
or I wanted to work with my brother because he's the funniest guy on the face of this planet. It could be something like that, just as an idea. Tell the people. Tell the people.
uh, you know, that's a really great question. We've had this asked a lot, like in person. People ask us this question a lot. And I think, the best answer that I've been able to come up with, because to be honest with you, if you're just being down and dirty, I had a military career that I loved. I was medically retired from that career, and due to unfortunate events, I was no longer applicable to the vocation that I saw myself in.
Yeah, can we pause there
Um,
for 2 seconds, not to ruin your train of thought? Uh, you say unfortunate events. An injury occurred.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, an injury occurred. Thank you.
He
I
didn't
got
get
injured.
arrested and get kicked out, I promise. It was an injury thing.
Yeah, it was an injury thing. I didn't get arrested for this. We and that was in late 2000, or yeah, late 2015. I just didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, outside of being in the military or doing some type of three-letter agency, law enforcement, something of that nature. And those things were just gone for me. And I remember you and I sitting and having this discussion a lot while we were in college, which is I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And how many times did I switch my major? Um, and I went up, and you were working at SMU, and you and I were talking about how you were helping student veterans, and we were just so excited about that. And I remember you encouraging me to go and talk to Jim up at UNT, Jim Davenport, which is an incredible person. If y'all don't know him and you're up at UNT and you're a veteran, shame on you. Go see him. Over at the SVA. But I went over to the SVA and I kind of fell in love with helping veterans get to where they wanted to go. Um, I think it kind of sparked something in me that I didn't know was there. Um, Fast forward a couple of years, I became a freight broker for a while. Was not my speed. Just didn't fit my personality type, being in sales. And then I moved over and I became a security officer for a middle school. And this whole time, you and I were talking about wanting to do something on our own, being tired of spinning our wheels where we were. And I remember sitting down one day with you on the phone, and I said, "You know what? Working for somebody's hard. You
Yep.
know, building a business is hard. You know, if we got to pick our hard, I pick us, and I bet on us any day." So, I mean, Des came out of why I joined Des or wanted to help start this company was so that I could be in that education space in that next step for people and for other veterans and their families in a way that nobody was there for me. And I could have benefited so much from that. I could have benefited from somebody coming alongside me and just having a conversation, lessons learned,
Yeah.
even if I just took a little bit, 5% of what somebody would have told me, it could have put me 2 or 3 years further. Only because as an adult, like I wasn't used to lifestyle outside the military.
Yeah.
So I really didn't know what was available. There was no path that was, there before me like it was in the military. And I think that was the biggest challenge that I had is that I couldn't find anybody to discern in a voice that could connect with me.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I
And
get that.
so DES, we started up a for-profit arm that does something different. Now we have this non-for-profit arm that we're working with that I truly believe and love. I get excited every day I get up. And if I have a phone call from a veteran, I mean, Rob, you'll be able to get tests. Like I'm over the moon. Like I call Rob almost immediately after, and I'm like, "Yeah, talk to another one." I'm like bragging to my wife. I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, these people are reaching out. That means we're doing something."
Yeah.
So, I love it. I want to change the landscape of education to match something that is more realistic.
Mm.
And I think that we have a chance to do that given an opportunity.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
opportunities don't come to you, you go to opportunities. So
Yep.
if I wanted that opportunity, I need to start my own company, do my own thing. If I want to do something different, right? There's nobody else out here doing what we do that I know of. And if you are, let's link up.
Yeah. No kidding.
There's
No kidding.
power in numbers.
Yep.
What about you? Enough about me. What about you?
Well, I
What
think
made you what made you leave a successful, obviously moving forward career
yeah.
and made you say, no, I'm gonna go do my own thing?
Well, first off, I'll be very honest and say it was absolutely terrifying. One of the scariest things I've ever done in my life. Uh, it really was. It really was. And I like to say that I'm a relatively risk adverse individual. And I'm sure if you look at my life on paper, you'd go, are you sure?
Are you sure about that?
But when I say risk adverse, and I remember you and I having this conversation before we started DES, and I looked at you and I said, I'm risk averse. And what I mean by that is I'm risk adverse when it comes to my family, not
Right.
necessarily myself. I'm happy to step out on the ledge and take the chance. But if it's going to have any kind of negative ramification on my family, there's pause there for me. And so I did, finally left a successful career, and I loved it. I loved it. I worked at SMU for 7 years. Started in an IT role. They took a chance on me, and then saw an opportunity to do some things in the veteran space for the university that very thankfully worked out. But DES was really kind of born and bred out of the trials and tribulations that I noticed other veterans going through that were similar to me.
Yep.
And whenever you and I came out of service, that lack of direction that you alluded to, not lack of support per se. I think we had great support from the familial side And then on the school side, we had great support. But what I lacked, and I think what you said too, is I lacked someone who had been there before, who had done what, had gotten out of the military, who had transitioned, someone in a like space to really help me discern what's next. What's next? How can I leverage what's available to me, as a former service member, to succeed in my goals for my life?
Yeah.
That's what I lacked, and so I couldn't do that to the degree that I wanted to whenever I was at SMU. I left the university on great terms. Um, I loved my time there. I loved the people that I worked with, but it was just one of those things that it was time to move on. I couldn't have the impact that I wanted to have if I just stayed there. And that's whenever you and I started having the conversations of,
Yeah.
well, should we do
The
it?
vision was bigger
Yeah,
than
it
one
always is.
place.
It always is. And you said we have two arms, and you're right. We have a non-for-profit, we have a for-profit. The for-profit is fun. It's challenging. Um, and there's a lot of lessons learned in that. But I agree with you. The non-for-profits what these conversations, helping out, other military members or their family members, that's what really gets me excited. And I can genuinely say, everyone is happy and miserable in their career at the same time, you know, because you're happy. Sometimes you love what you're doing. You don't love the people that you're around, or you love you, yeah, or the inverse of that. Um, but we have an amazing opportunity here where the mission is so near and dear to who I am and my heart. And you throw in the fact that I get to work with my brother every day. I mean, life couldn't be better. It really couldn't. And I'm gonna tell a story real quick. And I told you this, Chase, but I got to tell it again because it meant so much to me. 2 days ago or 3 days ago now, I'm in the car. I picked the boys up from school. Okay, I have fifth and a fourth grader, both boys. We're in the car. I'm driving them back home. It was one of those days where I didn't feel like I had done what I had set out to do for the day. Everybody
Yeah.
has those days.
Yeah. You
And
had a
then,
lackluster day.
yeah, just it was a admin heavy day. I really
Yeah.
wasn't talking
Oh,
to a
yeah.
whole
Those
lot
are
of
so much
people,
fun.
and I mean, it's
Back
just kind
office
of
work, right?
those are necessary days, important days, but also kind of soul sucking days, like from an energy standpoint. Um, but I was listening to the boys talk, and then my oldest Leo said, well, Grayson, what are we going to do with our company whenever we start our own company? And I was listening to them talk, and finally made the comment of, y'all are going to start your own business. Y'all are going to work together. Well, yeah, you and Uncle Chase do, and we want to make a difference too. Like the feeling that I got from that, and my children see we took the step, we took a chance. You still have those impacts, even on the days whenever I don't feel like I'm on the right track. It's just those tiny little things remind me, oh, you're doing something right. You're
Yep.
doing something right. And whether that's, a veteran reaching out and saying, hey, man, love what you talked about. I would like to know more about X. Or I have other veterans who reach out to me. Hey, man, constructive criticism.
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Those
topic
are my
was
favorite phone calls.
the topic wasn't great. Or, hey, man, I really
Yeah.
think you could do more here. Those mean more to
Or,
me
hey,
whenever.
man, why didn't you talk about this? Why aren't you
Yeah,
guys
dude.
talking about that? Yeah.
Some
Leave me a
people,
comment.
well,
No, don't
some
just call me.
people,
Leave me a comment.
some people get upset by that, but in my mind, I'm like, that means the world to me because you're invested enough in not only my personal success, but also the vision of DES, that you felt it necessary to reach out and contact. You know that we're doing something right. I don't
Yeah.
know if we're doing it all right, but we're doing something right, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to do something different. And we talk about ourselves a lot. We talk about our personal experiences and our transition, but as veterans, we don't, in my experience, we don't talk about that a lot. We talk about our military career. We tell each
Yep.
other cool stories, but no one ever talks about the real hard stuff.
Yep.
You know,
Nobody talks about the fear of the paycheck stopping
yeah,
and what do you do next, right? So how am I going to feed and support not only
right.
myself but my family? Like, guys, we both been there. Like, we understand that
You know,
like
you,
better than most.
you hit it. There's other organizations that are out there, and I'm not speaking ill of them, but I hear the tagline all the time: the premier, world class. Like we want to be the premier VSO in the United States. We want to be world class. But I feel like I want to be an open book. I want DES to be an open book. Let's talk about the hard things. Let's not always talk about the highs. Let's talk about the hard things. Let's talk about the lows, and how do you get out of those lows? And I think I told you whenever I came to you and I said, "Hey, Bubba, I'm ready to start my own business. You want to come do this with me?" I think I said, what I said to you was something to the effect of, if we're going to do this, we really have to open ourselves up and be comfortable in that space and really talk about it. Really talk about not necessarily the hard stuff. I'm not talking about like PTSD, but talking about like what you said. Where's that next paycheck coming from whenever you leave service? You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's
Let,
real life, right? Like we have
right.
some things, and that's universal, right? It
Yep.
doesn't matter if you are ETSing, you're retiring, you're med sepping, you're medically retired. It doesn't matter whatever type of separation you want to look at. It doesn't matter whatever code that is.
Yep.
Most of us are coming out that I saw, coming out with families, or you came out and there has to be a plan. It has to be a plan. And a lot of service members that I talk to, as a, how, in the rank that I got out at, as a five, and talking to other soldiers that were near and around my rank, even officers, that were finishing their first contract, there wasn't a clear cut plan.
Yep.
Some had a clear cut plan,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Some, but it was very rare. And
Mm-hmm.
then I remember my second exit from the military into from the army, and I thought my wife and I had a great plan. We talked things through, like we thought we were going to be on the straight and narrow, and then
Yep.
the time comes, and it's, oh, I didn't think about that.
Oh, that
Oh,
didn't go exactly how I planned it.
that's not how I saw that going.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah. Yeah.
gosh! And then all of a sudden, the housing market, you go, oh my god,
Yep.
like, am I going to rent forever? Yeah, and it's,
Yes.
it's just, it's interesting. Starting a company is hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think we said it before. Working for somebody's hard. Starting a company's hard.
Yep.
Depending on somebody else, to supply your job, right, for that salary, that's hard, right? And then depending on yourself to go and get that is hard. So it's, both are hard, and I think they're both equally hard.
Yep.
It's just, which path, right? Some people like you and I found it easier to look at it and say, you know what? I might not be the brightest. I remember telling you this, like, hey, let's do this. I might not be the brightest crayon in the box, but dadgummit, I'm not the dullest. And I can figure it out. Let's go.
Yeah.
We
Well,
kind of jumped in with 2 feet, started looking up and going, and
yeah,
been
there was
stumbling through this ever
I
since,
was about
guys.
to
So
say, I was about to say there was a lot of conversation and there's a lot of talk of like imposter syndrome and I don't know
oh
what
yeah,
I'm doing. I've never been a CEO. You've never been a COO. What does that look like? What does that mean? We're a small company, but what does that look like? What does that
small but
mean?
mighty.
Well, yeah, small but agile, right?
There you go.
Small,
Small but
small but
agile.
agile. But I love it, man. I love what we're doing, and I want to continue this conversation. And I think we are going to continue this conversation over and after actions, if I'm not mistaken.
We sure are. And with that, desk talkers, we enjoyed starting this conversation with you all. If you want to come over to our other channel and get in and see our beautiful faces, our beautiful bearded faces, I'm gonna let you in on that.
Yeah. Can I say
Uh,
one more thing before we roll out here?
yeah,
Um, for those of you who aren't going to jump over to the YouTubes and see our faces, I just want to let y'all know we are going to do a live session of these desk talks here pretty soon. So if you want to be a part of that, please send us a note. Please comment down below. We'll be sure to get you the link to that live session. You do not have to be on camera, but what you can do is chat with us while we're talking. I think we're going to try and keep it at about an hour. This first one's going to be just Chase and I, and then the next one's going to be with a really cool guest that we'll talk about more during that live session. But I just wanted to tee that up. Other than that, host, take it away.
I appreciate that. Oh, that's awesome. That is very exciting news. I'm so glad that you caught that. We are doing a live session. That is going to be amazing. You can sit down, throw us your questions, and we will try to answer them to the best of our abilities in real time. Understand we are not machines. So, prepare yourself.
You're not a machine.
All right. So make sure you jump over, follow us. If you like our conversation today and you want to hear more of it, there's an easy way for you to continue these conversations. All you have to do is like, share, and subscribe.